In this video, we will be discussing how to upgrade from Premiere version 2024.0 to Premiere version 2024.1. The first thing that you would want to do is to make sure that you have at least 6 gig of free disk space on your C drive. So let's check our disk space. We open up File Explorer, go to local disk C, right click, and go to properties. You will be able to see how much free space you have on your hard drive. Once you determine that you have enough disk space on your hard drive, then the next thing that we'll do is to open up our Sage Update Advisor. All of these steps have to be run on the application server, meaning whatever server has the SFA serve drive on it, then that will be the server, and you will have to be on the server to run this upgrade. So the first thing we'll do is click on the taskbar and show the Sage Advisor update. Once we find it, we click on it. In the Sage Advisor update, we click on check for update. Once it finds that we have an update that's available, then we click in the box. Now we can either download only or we can download and install. I recommend that you download and install. This will be seamless. So we click on download and install. It is going to go out to the Sage site that has the latest version that we want, which is 2024.1 tax update, and it will download it. Once the download is complete, as you will see, it will start the install process. Now that it is downloaded, it is now starting the install process. Now it tells us that it is getting ready to install Sage Fixed Assets Premier Server. These are the server components. This is the first step in upgrading, is to install the server components. We'll click Next. Read the end user license agreement and click Yes. Now it tells us that it has detected a prior version and it's going to remove it. So we click Yes, I'd like to continue. Now this is going to go through the process of uninstalling the prior version. And once it uninstalls the prior version, you will see that the database utility, these two here, will now be removed from our desktop. Now we see that it has removed those from the desktop. Now it will go through and install the new software, and you will see those icons reappear, which will be for the 2024.1 version, as they have just reappeared. Once it's all done, then it will let us know that it has finished the install. Now we can click Finish. The next thing that will happen is the database utility will run. Of course, you'll get this message that shows you the next steps and also how to install the client. So I'm going to click OK. Now I am going to enter my SA password. You either need to have the SA password or an equivalent account that is equal to SA. So now I will enter that SA account and click OK. I entered the wrong password. This is what will happen if you don't enter the correct password to your SA account, which is accessing your SQL server. So now let's enter the correct password. If you don't have the correct SA password, the application will not allow you to continue. So I've entered the correct password. Now I click OK. It actually runs the database utility. So now you see that my attachments folder is still intact because it read the registration information and it knows where the attachments folder is. Also, it knows the databases that I have already running on the system. Now, if I click on registration, it already retained my registration information, so I can click close. If you are coming from version 2023.1, then you will have to run the database conversion by clicking on convert. But since we're coming already from 2024.0 and upgrading to 2024.1, there's no need to run a database conversion. So now I can click exit. I'm going to click OK here. I'm going to close my Sage Update Advisor. If you are running planning, then you will also have to run the database utility to make sure that the database has been converted. And like I said, if you are on version 2023.1, then you'll have to go through the process of converting the database. If you're upgrading from version 2024.0, then there's no need to go through and run this database conversion utility. That's the first step. Second step now is to install the new client software. The client software is already encapsulated into the server components. So now I go to my C drive, go to or D drive, wherever you have your SFA served folder. Then you would go to that SFA served folder. You would double click on Premier Client, right click, and tell it run as administrator. Now I'm doing this from the server because I always like to install a client on the server. So if they run into issues, I can actually execute the application from the server without having to have it installed on a different end user workstation. So now that we've started this install, we're going to let it run through that process. Now we're at the point where we can actually start to install the client software. I am going to go ahead and close File Explorer because it's no longer needed. So now I am going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to agree to the end user license agreement. And again, it's letting me know that it has detected a prior version and it's going to remove that prior version. Would you like to continue? Yes. Now, this is going to go through the process that it did with the server components. It's going to remove the old client software icons. And you'll see that once it starts to the removal process, these icons will go away. You notice those icons have now gone away. So now it is removing all of the old version of the software, and it will now start to install the latest version of the software. Once that happens, then you'll see those three icons reappear on your desktop. Now it is starting the install process for version 2024.1. Once the install is complete, it will remove the backup files that it created. Now we click finish, and we are now on version 2024.1. Let's validate that we are on 2024.1. Once I double click on the Premier Depreciation icon, it tells me now that I am on version 2024.1. Also, once you upgrade your server components and your client application, when you initially start the application, if you have not filled out this information, it's going to continue to come up until that information is filled in. Right now, we're not going to fill in that information. So I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to click cancel again. It will now take me into the application. It will show me what's new in this release version of 2024.1. And also, I can go in and see what's new in previous releases. Now, if you don't want to see this screen anymore, you can check here to tell it not show the screen. Then I can click next and tell it do not show the screen, and next, do not show the screen. Now I click next, do not show the screen. If there's no more screens that are going to be displayed, then next will be grayed out. Now I can click close. This is going to give me a recap of information that is now available through the version that we have currently upgraded to. If you don't want to see this screen again on startup, you can tell it do not, check in the box that says do not show this again. I click OK. Now I can go through and click on File, Open Company, and these will be the list of the companies that you have in your asset database. So if I click on Open a Company, and we're going to say that this is your company, I'm going to click OK. Now it's going to bring up all of my assets there. So here you notice it tells me how many assets are in the group. Now we know that we're on version 2024.1 subscription because now we have Ally that is displaying. This wasn't available in the previous version 2024.0 subscription. Also, you'll notice that it says we are now on version 2024.1. And now that we have completed our upgrade, now you have to go to your end user workstation and do the upgrade of their client software on the end user workstation.